An attack on Earth's rescue fleet sparked humanity's ruthless retaliation. My name is Vorak, Senior War Correspondent for the Galactic News Syndicate, and I want to be very clear about something before I tell you this story. I did not think humans were dangerous. None of us did. We thought they were soft, emotional, the kind of species that named their warships after poets and kept photographs of their families taped inside their helmets. Adorable, really. Harmless, we assumed. We were so catastrophically wrong. It started 3 years before the incident, when a distress beacon fired from the edge of the Kalos Nebula. A colony ship, the INS Vera Dawn, had suffered a catastrophic engine rupture, 412 humans on board, 60% of them children. The Veth Dominion, whose territory bordered the nebula, ignored the beacon. Standard policy. Not their problem, not their people. Earth sent a rescue fleet anyway. 6 ships, unarmed, marked with the universal symbol for medical aid. Commander Lira, leading the convoy, a woman I would later learn had 3 daughters back on Earth and a habit of humming old music while she worked. They crossed into unclaimed space, pulled out the survivors, and were heading home when the Veth patrol ships arrived. Now here is where I must pause, because what happened next is still debated in military circles across 14 star systems. The Veth commander, a decorated officer named Val, later claimed he believed the rescue fleet was a scouting formation in disguise. His superiors backed that story. His sensor data was conveniently corrupted. What we know for certain is this. Val opened fire on 6 unarmed ships carrying wounded civilians and children they had just pulled from the void of space. He destroyed 4 of them in under 2 minutes. Commander managed to get the Vera Dawn survivors into 2 escape pods before her ship was hit. She did not make it to a pod herself. The signal her ship sent in its final seconds was picked up by 17 different monitoring stations across the sector. It was not a distress call. It was a full tactical record. Every targeting sequence, every weapon discharge, every second of what Val did, transmitted automatically to Earth Command in perfect damning clarity. I was at my desk when the transmission came through our news network. I watched it once. Then I sat very still for a long time. Earth's response was not immediate. That is what frightened everyone the most. There was no furious declaration, no emergency broadcast, no posturing. The human government went quiet. Their ambassador to the Galactic Council cancelled 3 scheduled appearances without explanation. Their military channels went dark. For 11 days, nothing. My colleague, Rin, who covered human affairs for our syndicate and genuinely liked them, told me she found the silence more unsettling than any threat could have been. She said it reminded her of something an old human proverb described: the calm before something very, very bad. On the 12th day, Earth released a single statement. 47 words. I have memorized every one of them. The United Earth Government has reviewed the complete tactical record of the Kalos incident. We have determined that the attack on our rescue fleet was deliberate, coordinated, and without any legal or moral justification. We are not interested in sanctions. We are not interested in negotiations. We are not interested in apologies. We are interested in one thing only. The statement ended there. No signature, no list of demands, no timeline. The Veth Dominion laughed. Publicly. Their council broadcast a response calling the statement the empty bark of a species that has never fought a real war. Val gave an interview in which he described humans as biologically incapable of sustained aggression. He said their emotional attachments made them weak. He said a species that cried at funerals and named their ships after dead artists was not a species to be feared. He said all of this 9 days before Earth's 7th Strike Fleet crossed the Veth border. I was not there for what followed. No independent journalists were permitted anywhere near Veth space once the fleet moved. What I received were fragments, intercepted communications, refugee testimonies, sensor ghosts from deep-range monitoring posts. But those fragments, stitched together, painted a picture that made hardened military analysts go very quiet when they read them. The 7th Strike Fleet did not attack Veth population centers. They did not carpet bomb colonies. Humans, it turned out, had rules about that sort of thing, and they followed those rules even when they were furious. But their military targets, every base, every patrol station, every weapons depot inside Veth space, gone, systematically, precisely, efficiently, not. With anger, that was the part no one expected, with patience. Patience is not a word most species associate with revenge. Revenge, in our understanding, is hot. It is loud. It is the kind of thing that gets written about in operas and carved into monuments. It burns fast and leaves scorched ground behind. Every civilization in the known galaxy, from the Veth Dominion to the Soral Collective to my own people, the Vekari, understood revenge to be fundamentally impulsive. Humans redefined it entirely. The 7th Strike Fleet moved through Veth space, the way a surgeon moves through tissue. Deliberate, unhurried, each target was identified, confirmed, and neutralized before the next was touched. No wasted ordnance, no collateral damage to civilian infrastructure, no broadcasts, no warnings, no theatrics. They did not want the Veth to fear what was coming. They wanted the Veth to watch it arrive, fully conscious, completely unable to stop it. Admiral Thomas Frey commanded the fleet. I eventually obtained a partial transcript of the only communication he sent to Veth High Command during the entire campaign. It was 8 words long. You had 11 days to do the right thing. That was it. No further correspondence. He did not respond to their surrender requests for 6 days, not because he missed them, because he was not finished. Pessarin called me on the 4th day of the campaign, and she was not her usual composed self. She had just spoken to a Veth refugee coordinator who described watching from a monitoring post as a human strike group dismantled an orbital defense platform that had taken the Veth 11 years to construct. The platform had a crew of over 200. The humans gave them 20 minutes to evacuate before they took it apart. The coordinator said the strike group actually waited, while the evacuation pods cleared the area. Then they proceeded. They are not angry, Pessarin told me. Her voice had a quality I had never heard from her before. Vorak, they are not even angry. That is what I cannot get past. They are just done with them. I understood what she meant. Anger implies some remaining emotional investment. Anger wants something back. What the humans were demonstrating was something colder, and if I am being honest, considerably more terrifying. They were not trying to hurt the Veth. They were simply removing them as a military consideration, the way you remove a splinter, not out of hatred, out of practicality, because 4 of their ships had been destroyed, because their people had died in the cold. Because someone had looked at Commander Lira and her crew and decided they did not matter, and humans, it turned out, had a very long memory for that particular category of decision. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. On day 7, I covered it in person. The chamber was, for the first time in my career, completely silent when the human delegation walked in. Not the polite silence of diplomacy. The silence of a room full of apex predators who have just realized they may not be the most dangerous thing present. Earth's representative, a quiet man named Davin Cross, took his seat and folded his hands on the table. He did not look like a man whose civilization had just dismantled the Veth military in under 2 weeks. He looked like someone who had come to discuss zoning regulations. He had that particularly unsettling human quality of appearing completely relaxed while the room around him quietly collapsed. The Veth representative stood and began to speak. He used words like proportionality and escalation and dialogue. He suggested that a ceasefire framework could be established. He implied delicately that the humans had perhaps overreacted. Davin Cross waited for him to finish, Then he opened a folder, slid a single document across the table, and said quietly, "This is a list of every name on those 4 ships, every crew member, every survivor we pulled from the Vera Dawn. We would like the Dominion to read it. All of it, out loud, in this chamber. Then we will talk about proportionality." The silence that followed that statement lasted 40 seconds. I counted. The Veth representative sat down without another word. The ceasefire was signed the following morning. The terms were not negotiated. They were presented. The Veth signed them all. I filed my report that evening from a small cafe near the council building, and I sat for a long time after I finished, watching people walk past the window. Different species, different worlds, different problems, all of them I noticed, giving a wide berth to the 2 human diplomatic aides standing outside the entrance. Not because the aides looked threatening. They did not. One of them was laughing at something on a small device. The other was eating some kind of wrapped food with great enthusiasm. They looked frankly ridiculous, but nobody walked close to them, nobody at all. And I think, sitting there, I finally understood something about humanity that I had missed entirely in all my years covering them. It was not their weapons that made the galaxy nervous. It was not their fleet strength or their tactical precision or even the cold patience of Admiral Thomas Frey. It was the photographs taped inside their helmets. It was the names written on the folders. It was the fact that they wept at funerals. Yes, genuinely and without shame. And then, when the grief had settled into something harder and quieter and permanent, they got up and they made absolutely certain that the people who caused those tears never, ever did it again. I walked home that night with a new understanding of the universe. Some species are dangerous because they do not care. Humans are dangerous because they care too much. And there is no weapon in any known galaxy more precise, more relentless, or more unstoppable than a species that remembers every single name.